And good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind. And good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind. And good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind. And good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another episode of Think and Grow Rich Mastermind. And good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to All right, that was the spirit of excitement on my part. I am so excited this morning. This is Ann McNeil, and I am the master wealth builder, helping to build stronger and better lives and business. All right, that was the spirit of excitement on my part. So excited. All right, one more time. I have a lot of Ann McNeil's playing right now. And so I just want to make sure that this is the only one that you're seeing and hearing. All right, one more. All right, one more time. Nope, still not. I have a lot of Ann McNeil's playing right now. Now, this is what happens when we're co-hosting alone. Hi, my name is Ann McNeil, and I am a solo today. This is the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind Live. We are discussing the book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and our co-hosts are off today, Galen Bingham and Peter James. And when you hear this replay, then you will know I am truly missing both of you today because I am hosting and doing everything, producing and everything by myself. But guess what? That devil is a liar, and this is going to be the very best podcast ever. So, like my friend Les Brown says, you need to tell every blotty dotty and everybody that they need to come on and listen to this podcast right now today with my good friend, daughter, sort of to speak, Robyn Donaldson, as we discuss the principle of decision. And I had a decision a few minutes ago to end this podcast or press my way. You see, it is the decision. It's not the big decisions we make. It's the little, small, repetitive decisions that we make every single day that make the difference between success and failure. And I am here to tell you today that this is going to be one of the most successful podcasts ever. And why? Why is that so? It is because I said so. And because I said so, it is so. And with that thought in mind, we are going to discuss Napoleon Hill's phenomenal book. And if you have a copy, which I have my copy here, and what I like to always do is I always like to share with people, if you are participating with us on a regular basis, then you know that what we traditionally do is we walk through a principle from this book every single Saturday. And the process is that we start in January with the first principle, which is desire. And then February, we walk through each principle, one per month. Well, we're starting now with the month of July, and our principle for this month is the principle of decision. And Napoleon Hill tells us that the decision principle, this is how you will master procrastination. He basically calls it the 7th step toward riches. And if you think about your desire and your goals, you must have it and make a strong decision on that burning desire to take action. And that's what I love about our guest today, Robyn Donaldson, not just taking action, but she's been taking action on her goals. But let's talk about the fact that Napoleon Hill analyzed over 25,000 men and women who had experienced failure. And they disclosed that the lack of decision was basically toward the head of the list. When he analyzed their failures, he found that there were 30 major causes of failure. But the number one cause of failure is the lack of decision. And many years of studying this philosophy, I have found that the lack of decision actually starts with an indecision. And that indecision creates doubt. And I like to paint a picture for you. Just imagine that indecision and doubt, they marry. Yes. Indecision and doubt, they marry. And what they birth is failure. Failure in so many areas of our business and our lives. And it causes procrastination. And procrastination, you will often find, is actually the opposite of making a decision. And it is the common enemy for so many of us. And you will find that one of the best ways to make a decision is to have a very strong why, a very strong, desire, if you will, something that will pull you to and pull you through that which you kind of sort of claim you really want to do. But if you have your book, why don't you walk with us through this principle of decision? But I'd also encourage you to please comment, like, and share the show, but also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And that's actually what I was hearing in the background as I opened this podcast. My YouTube clicked on, and I was just sharing with Robyn before the podcast started. I said, okay, Blake, make sure you put yourself on mute. Of course, I didn't put myself on mute. And so the YouTube just continued to play over the podcast. So pray for me. Thank you, Robyn, for also praying for me, because again, when we delve into this principle, it will show us who we really are in so many areas of our business and our lives. Such little things like, will you make that decision to make that call? Will you make that small decision to invest in yourself a small amount of money over a long period of time? Will you make that small decision to drink that 8 ounces? Yes. 16 ounces? Yes. 32 ounces, 64 ounces of water every single day? Will you make that small decision to make that call to a family, a friend, or a loved one, or someone who is in need of a word of encouragement? It's the small little decisions that we make that makes the difference in so many areas of our business, but also of our lives. But enough for that. I'm excited, like I said, to share with many of you one of my long time friends. And let's just ask her right now. Good morning, Robyn Donaldson. Why don't you come on the podcast? How are you this morning?
Awesome, awesome, and excited to be here.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Robyn has done many, many things in her life, but also in her career and also in her business. And so, Robyn, we've known each other for a very long time, but I don't want to dismiss the fact that many people don't know you. So let's share a little bit about your history, your bio. So Robyn is the founder of Renew Construction Services, LLC. And she is also known as the Queen of Clean. And and that went on. She's going to share her story about going on from the toilet bowl to the Super Bowl. But her company, Renew Construction, was founded in 2014 and has been on CBS and ABC as the premier cleaning firm for the Super Bowl NFL kickoff hosted in Tampa in 2021. She also is the founder of STEM Exposure Inc. And this is her brainchild as an architectural designer, builder, and trade instructor. She gives back by exposing and mentoring African-American schoolgirls and college women towards science, technology, engineering, and math careers in the construction industry. She'll also share with us a little about her STEM Exposure Inc. summer program and so many, 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 many other in activities that she's involved in. So Robyn, again, welcome to the podcast. Have you, if you can come on and share with us a little bit about how your story and how did you get here?
Well, it's been many years ago, Miss Ann. I picked up the book. Actually, you highly recommended that I started reading Think and Grow Rich. And it's going through those principles has really brought me to where I am now, because I'm an avid reader of Think and Grow Rich. And every time I read it, I glean something else from the book. So again, to answer your question, how did I get started? Many years ago, I did participate in the International Mastermind. And it was just really different because I had individuals that I was accountable to, or they held me accountable. It was the interacting of the weekly calls on Friday. It was just really a list of things that really has gotten me where I am now. And they're all based on these 13 principles that we have in Think and Grow Rich.
Wow. Listen, now, they often say that that's a setup. That is actually, Robyn, a setup. But before we go to the setup, tell us a little bit more about your upbringing, because I think in order for people to really understand and have a great appreciation for where you are, I think it's important for people to understand, where did you come from? How did you get here? Prior to our meeting, as a part of the International Mastermind Association and also as a part of the National Association of Black Women in Construction. But how did you get, to where you are from your early beginnings? Take us back to your childhood and maybe a situation where you had to make a major decision as a child, which continued to drive your decisions for today.
My childhood, let's see. You having me think, Miss Ann, about that. A decision that I had to make in my childhood. And I'm sure you know of an instance. So if you can remind me, because it's been a few.
Okay, so you grew up where?
Tampa, Florida, Progress Village.
Okay. And you went to school where?
At Tampa Bay Tech for industrial electricity, which
Okay.
is, I would say, one of the first decisions that I had to make
All right.
because
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's what I'm talking. And the reason I'm saying that is because your story, there are people who will only hear your voice, Robyn. There people will not hear my voice. They will only hear your voice. But the only way they can hear your voice if they know your story and how you got here. Because people see you now, all glamored up and, now, come on. They don't know how you got here. And we all have a story before the glory. See, people see the glory days, but they don't know your story days. They don't know those hard decisions you had to make. Do you go to the right or do you go to the left? Do you go and do traditional things that most people do? Or do you go and do what you are led by the spirit or your heart or your hunch or whatever it is that's driving you or calling you or pulling you? Those are the little bitty decisions. And that's really what I want our guests and everybody who listens to this in the future to understand. It is the compound effect of small decisions that you make every single day. And that small decision will tell you, I heard something that, when a plane takes off, it has a destination. And the plane has a destination it's going to. And that's a decision that was programmed into the nose of that plane. But on the way, it gets a little off course. But by the time it lands, it's at its destination. And somewhere I heard that, just a few inches off course, by the time it gets to its destination, those few inches, if it did not reset that decision, it can be in another state, 150, 200 miles off course. So these are the little small decisions, Robyn, you've had to make back from high school or junior high school on a daily basis. Do you take that puff? Come on, somebody. Or do you come on, somebody, or do you do those? And then whatever decision we make, we have to deal with the decision that we've made, and it does not define us either way. And so it's not until people know your story, my story. I tell people all the time, and it has gotten to be such a point that whenever I say, that I read Napoleon Hill's book at 9 p.m., by the time I get to December 31st, 1979, many people in the audience can begin to recite my history, my story. Why? Because I tell the same story every single time God allows me to stand and speak. Why? Because I made a decision really after listening to Jim Rohn, and we're Jim Rohnites, if you will. And many years I would say, why does he keep telling that Girl Scout cookie story? Jim Rohn says, I lied to a Girl Scout. Now he's a multimillionaire. He says, I made a decision. I lied to a Girl Scout. And then he said, when the Girl Scout came to the door and she said, I'm selling Girl Scout cookies. They're only $2. And he said, I told her, listen, we have a lot of Girl Scout cookies inside. We can't buy any more today. But he said when he closed that door, he realized as a grown man, he did not have $2. He did not have $2 to buy Girl Scout cookies. Now, for me and for you, Robyn, he tells that story I learned over the years of listening when he began to explain that he wanted people to understand he made a decision to share where he came from, where he was, so that people who saw him today could understand. I didn't just wake up like this.
Right.
I didn't start like this. I think he calls it 5 to 6 years between that Girl Scout cookie story to the person who he was as a multimillionaire. Right. And I know you're on your journey and you've hit millions. If you haven't, you will hit millions. Right. But share with us that decision that you made back in school to not follow your friends who may have been going to, makeup school or whatever, but you decided to go into construction. Share with us that decision and then bring us up from there.
Well, it was Actually, again, it was a lot of peer pressure, of course, coming from my mom. She wanted me to be into a secretary or getting into nursing, some sort of medical field. But I did it first because I wanted to despise her. But honestly, it was really what I wanted to do because I've always been someone who worked with their hands. And that was because I was working with my father. So whether he was working on the house or on the car, I was there. But again, my mom wanted me to be a secretary or a nurse, but I made the decision to follow my heart, which has really helped me presently in the decision to be in the construction business. Um, I would say, Ms. Ann, I don't know how deep or how far you want me to go, but I'll just put it like this. My life has not been as glamorous as many people may think, and they may see me now as successful, but I've had a lot of setbacks, and I just had to make conscious decisions that no matter what, that I was going to prevail. So there's been situations, of course, from high school, from not being able to go to college, to being with the wrong crowd, from being on drugs to actually getting locked up in prison because of the company that I kept. And please keep in mind that that was a decision as well. So good, bad, or ugly is all a decision. And from that, I came home and I made another decision that I was no longer going to allow anything to stop me from being the best mother that I could be, or anything that was going to stop me from being the best person that I can be. And of course, there was a lot of opinionated people who felt that they had or they knew best for me in my life, since they figured that I had squandered it by being a convicted felon or being someone that had been on drugs. So I had to make the decision to take my life back and to live life on my own terms. And from that, I was introduced to Ann McNeil and Think and Grow Rich. And please understand, I did not take it kindly because Miss Ann does not suggest, she just highly suggests and tell you to do certain things. And I bucked all the way for a good year. I'm like, okay, I hear it. But I had to finally make the decision that I needed to, I made the decision that I was no longer the general manager of the universe, and that I was not in the position to direct my steps. Based on all of the ingenuity, ability that I had, I was only able to reach a certain level. So therefore, I needed something more. I desired something more, but did not really know what that was. So again, being introduced to NABWIC, which is the National Association of Black Women in Construction, I met Ann McNeil. I met you. And what you did for me was the basis of my success. First, you took me all over the country, just exposing me to different facets of construction until I made a decision on what I wanted to do in the construction industry. And then also, again, you introduced me to Think and Grow Rich, those 13 principles that have molded my life. They have really changed my life. And today we are talking about decision and the mastery of procrastination. And earlier in the prep room, Miss Ann had asked me to pray. And I couldn't even find the words to express the joy that I had for even being on this call. Because as of late, I had been struggling with making certain decisions. And please know, no matter where you are, what level of success you have, you're going to be faced with procrastination. And so in preparation for being here today, I had to reread Decision. And with rereading the chapter on decision, I also looked at some of the notes that I had. Man, I would say the first couple of times that I read the book, and then compared to where I am right now. And my decision today is that, yes, I'm successful in my own right, but there's so much more that I could be doing. Yeah. So today I'm going to make my declaration that I'm no longer going to wait for others to do what it is that I need to do myself. And not allowing what people think about me influence me in my decision. Because the decisions that I'm making or the places that I'm going right now, everybody's not privileged to go. So therefore, I'm going to have a lot of opinionated people expressing what I should do. But I am that person who makes a quick decision and changes it if ever. So with that, Miss Ann, are you there? You already got me crying, and I'm on live looking crazy.
Yes,
Not
yes,
expecting this. You know what? This was not.
yes, 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 yes. And let me tell you something. You just set some people free. You just set some people free right now. And as a part of setting some people free, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to go to the 13 principles, and we're going to come right back. So everybody, just hold on.
Napoleon Hill said that everything starts with a burning desire, a compelling reason for doing what it is we do. Step 2 is faith, having belief in our ability to attain that which we desire. Step 3 is what we call autosuggestion. Autosuggestion simply means being very intentional about the things that we are pouring into our thoughts, into our brains, and into our consciousness. Our brains, our minds will receive everything automatically, but we have to work extra hard to make sure that the positive things are what we are feeding ourselves, because those positive thoughts are going to turn into positive actions. Step number 4 is specialized knowledge. No one person knows everything, even about whatever their particular area of expertise might be. And the value of the Mastermind principle is using the specialized knowledge of other people. Step number 5 is imagination, the workshop of the mind. Everything starts with our imagination and our thoughts, the burning desire to transform those thoughts into our reality. In order to do that, we have to take a look at step 6, which is organized planning. That is how we crystallize our desire into action, organizing ourselves. Having the thought and not acting on the thought isn't going to get us anywhere. We have the thought, we go through the organized planning to transform that thought into action. Step number 7 is decision. What Napoleon Hill said is the mastery of procrastination. Napoleon Hill said that the antidote to procrastination is simply to make a decision and then move on that decision. Step 8 is persistence. We have to have a sustained effort which is induced by our faith in order to achieve our goals. One of Napoleon Hill's books I love, even the title, 3 Feet from Gold. Those people who became rich during the gold rush in the Wild Wild West days didn't do that because they were necessarily smarter or had better information than anyone else. It's because they stayed just a little bit longer. Sometimes people left when they were just literally 3 feet from gold. So hanging in there, being persistent, is step number 8. Step number 9, the power of the mastermind, the driving force. None of us can accomplish anything on our own. Everybody, I don't care who you are, from the most prominent person to the person who might be considered the lowest on the totem pole, everybody has someone who helped them get to where they are. And the power of the mastermind is being able to use those influences around us, use the thoughts, use the knowledge, use the exploration of other people to help us in achieving our goal. Step number 10, the mystery of sex transmutation. This title can be a little confusing, but essentially what the mystery of sex transmutation means is that we oftentimes in our society think of sex as being purely physical. It is absolutely physical, but what Napoleon Hill teaches us is that sex also has an emotional element, and that sex is the strongest of our desires. That if we can take our sexual energy, transform that into positive, creative influences, it can propel us to new heights. And so we spend quite a bit of time talking about the mystery of step 10, which is sex transmutation. Step number 11 is the subconscious mind, which Napoleon Hill tells us is the connecting leap between our human mind and the infinite intelligence, the source of all thought, the source of all creativity. Conscious mind, we spent some time talking about how we use that through the influence of autosuggestion, what we're feeding into our mind. Step number 12, which is the brain, the broadcasting and receiving station of thought. Final step number 13, the sixth sense, the door to the temple of wisdom. This is the final step through which infinite intelligence may and will communicate voluntarily without any effort from or demands by the individual. The principle is the apex of the philosophy. It can be assimilated, understood, and applied only by first mastering the other 12 principles.
All right. Thank you so very much, everybody. Those are the 13 principles that Robyn was just expressing and the impact that those principles have had on her life, my life, and the lives of millions. And if you're not familiar with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, I would strongly encourage you to connect with Napoleon Hill Foundation, Don Green, the executive director, and all of the staff, and consider walking through these principles as a part of your daily disciplines, if you will. Whether you do one principle a month, one principle a year, you could actually live in one principle a year and have an opportunity to connect with systems and processes to get you whatever it is that you desire. It doesn't have to be money. But these principles work, but only if you work them. So, Robyn, thank you so very much for sharing those words. I want to just go back and remind all of our listeners that we're discussing the principle from Napoleon Hill's book called Decision. And he talks about that the opposite of decision is procrastination. And Robyn, prior to the 13 principles video, she was just sharing her personal story. And Robyn, I want to go back to the prayer and the fact that you just set some people free. No, really, because oftentimes we're not willing to go all the way back there. And what oftentimes people are looking for is relatability. They want to know, okay, this is where you are. This is where you've been. But how did you overcome the procrastination to make the decision to go to the next step? So can you share with us a challenge or a struggle that you had to overcome, either in your personal life or your business, where you had to make the decision? And it could have been a minor decision, because I think that, there are really no big decisions that we make, actually, when you really stop and think about it, right? It's really the little small decisions that we make over and over and over again. So can you share with us any kind of struggle or challenge that you may have had to overcome with the principle of decision?
A time, something that I had to overcome. I have so many. Let me think. Let's think. I think it would be in my business. You know what? I'm going to say it was where I was speaking engagements. So in association with NABWIC, I had joined the National Speaking Association. I joined Toastmasters because, again, I have a story to tell, right? And when I was reaching out to individuals to, for speaking engagements, they often question my education. How am I able to speak on certain topics with a lack of education? And really, it hurt me to the core because I was the person who they asked for, but they didn't know that I didn't have the necessary education, or shall I say, the same education that they had. And immediately I was just gonna shut down. In fact, I did. But then I came back around and I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. I am not going to allow this to determine my speaking career. So I had to just make a decision that despite what people think about me, that I'm going to prevail anyway. And as a result of doing so, I have been not guest speakers, but a keynote speaker in organizations that would not even have allowed me membership. Not once, but twice. Because I made a decision and prevailed no matter what, I am being sought after by individuals, organizations to consult them. And again, I'm consulting people that has PhDs, doctorates. So in response to that I'll say antagonizing situation, I just made a decision no matter what. I'm going to be me. I'm going to deliver the best service. Because at the end of the day, who needs education when you have results? So I just made the decision to keep moving regardless.
Wow. Well, and I think, Robyn, that there are really different types of education. Napoleon Hill has taught us, especially in the area of specialized knowledge. You see, one of the things that you've decided to do way back was you decided, and I love this phrase, niche to be rich. You decided to niche in a space of STEM. Mm-hmm. You decided to niche in a space, and Nito Cobain calls it intentional congruence, where you take, everything you do should connect to everything else you do. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he does when he goes out to speak, he don't tell other people's stories. He tells his own stories. So point being, and the stories he tells are always about his clients, not other people's clients, right? Mm-hmm. So what you've been able to do, you've been able to take your education, because you did go on and pursue an education. So we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. And you were able to take it in the construction industry and marry the two with your desire and your love for children, girls, mm-hmm. African-American girls, to come into this industry of design and construction and engineering. And then you created your own and curated your own space. So can you tell us about that idea and how you made the decision to create STEM exposure?
Well, that started back, in 2018. You were right there, right? Again, an investor had asked me to design some conceptual drawings for East Tampa. I said, you know what, let's get these kids to decide what they want their neighborhood to look like. And from that, it gave birth to what we now know as STEM Exposure, Inc. I'm sorry, Miss Ann, I just lost my train of thought.
STEM Exposure, Inc., the investor that gave you the idea where he actually wanted to make an investment, and you took that idea
Mhm.
and created, you created a strategic partnership with some other individuals
Mhm.
in the Tampa Bay area. And that led to, and I remember some of the stories, so if you can share with us, like a couple of the students who actually designed, and then they ended up actually building the design that the students created.
Mhm. Yeah, it's you know my story, Miss Ann. Yes, that was
But my point, though, what I want everybody to understand is that it started with a decision. You could have told that investor no.
right, right, right. I could have, but I made the decision to move forward. And then after that first year, just understanding the impact that we had on those kids, we made the decision to continue. Right. After that, shortly, COVID hit. And we had to make a decision whether we were going to have a camp or not. But making that decision that we were going to prevail, we went virtual, right? Which allowed more people to participate. Then again, the second year we experienced COVID, we had an opportunity to use the virtual platform to go global. So by making that one decision to push forward, we've been able to impact over 400 kids, because we are not only in 6 different countries and 4 different time zones. Nothing is going to stop us from the ultimate goal of exposing as many minority students to unrepresented STEM careers. So then there was another situation where one of those Kenyan students or participants had expressed that they wanted to come to the United States. And I'm like, well, that's a huge undertaking. But we made a decision that it was going to happen. And within 3 weeks, that student had got his visa and was accepted to HCC here locally in Tampa, Florida. And he's been here since 2 years, pursuing architectural design. And again, everything is just, I had to make a decision on what I was going to do. Many times I could have stopped and nobody would have blamed me for doing so. But it was just that my why was so much stronger than any excuse or that I could have given to stop.
Wow. 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 Robyn, you're hitting on so many points, that Napoleon Hill shares in this principle of decision. And it just continues to just encourage all of us to, and the word you used was your why. I mean, that's huge, because when he talks about having a why, but he calls it a desire, right? Mm-hmm. Your desire pulled you through. Can you tell us something that is working very well, and then tell us something that's not working well?
What you mean, Miss Sam? What's working well and what's not working well?
Well, what's working well, an example of something that's working well could be, the continuation of the STEM exposure internationally. What may not be working well may be limitations from, lack of money or lack of support or lack of trying to get into certain doors or things like that, that maybe this community might be able to help you open some of those additional doors. Because I really want to use this platform to help support you in sharing to the world, because again, coming from the National Association of Black Women in Construction and being birthed out of that with your idea, I really want to encourage many of our members to do the same, because again, Napoleon Hill shares with us that everybody's not going to always agree with the decisions that we make. Mm-hmm. But you hit the nail on the head in that is not self-serving. The decisions that you've made have been to the benefit and uplifting of the least, the lost, and the left out. Because those individuals who don't need STEM exposure, they're already hooked up, if you will.
Right.
They have money to go to the best schools. They have all of the best of everything. But what about the others, the African-American girls all over the world that have a dream and a desire, but don't have a STEM exposure to expose them to a platform that can take them where they want to go? And oftentimes, for many of them, it's about their families. How can I be better and do better so that I can help my family to have something better? One of the things that Napoleon Hill shares, he gives a lot of stories and the principle, about how the United States was formed. But he also, one of the ones I liked the most was the one about Ford. And, how he had an reputation of being obstinate, if you will. And that prompted him, most people say that prompted him to take too long in changing, his Model T Ford style. But it was working. Mm-hmm. When everybody said, you should do this and you should do that. But he did what he did what he knew he needed to do. For one thing, they didn't have many choices. Right. And see, started this, there weren't many choices. Mm-hmm. Now everybody and their mom and sister, if you will, are getting on the bandwagon, and we don't have to name them. We know who they are. Say, oh, well, hey, let's help those DE&I. Oh, wait a minute. Everybody's DE&I now. DE&I. Everybody, oftentimes, except people that look like you and look like me. But that's a podcast for another day. But let's talk about the people like Robyn. Napoleon Hill says the people like Robyn who accumulate money versus those who fail. They fail to even, get enough money to support their needs. And I've been there, Robyn. I don't know about you, but I've been there as one of those. And oftentimes I found in my own life, when I went back and looked at my life, Robyn, that largely it was because of what they say. People who had something to say about me and how I should do this and how I shouldn't do that. And I should keep my corporate job in spite of the fact that I've been working my business on that job for 2 years before I left that job. What you're going to do. Now, I did have a job that I left too soon. I had to beg my boss to give me my job back because nobody told me when I made that decision to leave that my bills don't stop coming. They kept coming and I couldn't pay them. And my business had not grown to the point where I could afford, if you will, to pay my bills from my business. So I had to make the decision to go back to work, Robyn. But talk to us a little bit about the power of the Mastermind group in helping to vet decisions. What are your thoughts about that?
I have a mean team. My Mastermind group is mean. When I tell you they represent my weaknesses, they bridge my weaknesses. There's one of my Mastermind, oh my God, her name is April Armstrong. And we talk every morning like clockwork. And I run everything by her. She's the person who would like, wait a minute, girl, like that don't make no sense. Like, run that past me again. What you're really trying to say is, so I just keep people around me. First of all, our missions align perfectly. And anytime that there's any interchange in any conversation, we are like enlightening each other. It's just like, I really can't even describe it. But to answer your question, Ms. Ann, like the art of collaboration, that Mastermind group is not suggested, it is required. Because first of all, I can't do it alone, right? I don't feel that I'm going to be going back to school anytime soon. So there's, again, the purpose of having that mastermind group, because, again, they fill every void for me. I have Vanessa. She also is a part of my mastermind group. She is the intellect, the anything pertaining to construction, real estate, whatever. Every portion of my life, I have someone that is very strong in that area. I could not have been anything without them in my mastermind group. As far as the success in my business, I live by collaboration and masterminding, because I have felt also, I know, because Think and Grow Rich states that, the money or the type of money that I'm trying to acquire, I can't get it alone. So that holds true with the business. So going after larger contracts, no, I can't do it myself. So I collaborate with others. As far as the nonprofit, the same thing. I find other collaborators whose missions align perfectly. I don't try to reinvent the wheel. I just find someone who has that wheel oiled and bring them on board. So if there's no other principle that I would highly recommend you adhere to, it would be the art of masterminding and collaboration. That is the key to my success.
Oh, wow. You just, Robyn, you hit on so many things. And one of them was the power, when you talked in the beginning and shared in the beginning, the power of attending the annual meeting. And I just looked up and realized we're out of time.
We are? Oh, my goodness.
Let's real quickly, oh, my goodness, let's real quickly share with our audience some information about this annual meeting. So we host an annual meeting for your life, and you can go to the International Masterminders with an S.com, internationalmasterminders.com, and get the details. But Robyn, we moved our hotel from the Embassy Suites to a beautiful place on the beach. And I would encourage everybody, please register. The link is, you can get the link at internationalmasterminders.com because the hotel rooms for the rate we have would go very quickly. As a matter of fact, somebody called me yesterday and said, I can't get a room. They're sold out. And so she just texted me while we're on the podcast saying, oh, they had the wrong date, but it made her go ahead and register for that room for 2 nights. We start off on Friday night, and we're going to have Robyn share her first experience. Actually brought your family too, I remember.
Yeah, I did. It was amazing.
Okay, let me stop talking. Why don't you share with our listeners about your first experience to our annual meeting?
Well, the annual meeting, again, is an accountability meeting. It's really you checking in with a group of amazing individuals. For me, it was eye-opening because Miss Ann has, we talked about the 13 principles, but Miss Ann has broken down 13 areas of your life. And for me, it was eye-opening because I thought that I was living a balanced life. But how soon did I discover I was very uneven in so many places? And one especially was my family. I'm here working, but I didn't have time for family. I didn't have time for myself. But being in attendance the 2 days, it really helped me to put everything in perspective and helped me to understand where I put my value. And wherever my value is where my time is. So now I would like to think of myself as being a balanced person in all areas of my life. But this particular meeting will give you the clarity that you need.
Oh, that's powerful, powerful. Oh my goodness, Robyn, this has been so phenomenal. I want to go back to the fact that you've set some people free today by sharing your authentic self. Mm-hmm. And there's so many stories by so many great people that somebody said that I don't remember who it was that say even broken. Was that you that said broken crayon still color?
No, I didn't, but I'll use it. I'll use that one.
Crayon still color. Oh, I get chills. what I love about you, Robyn, is that you constantly elevate yourself regardless of your situation. And I love how for years, and people don't realize this, and we're going to ask you to come back again, but for years, no joke, for all of you that's listening, when I tell you a student of this philosophy, not a day, not a week, not a month, not a year, but for years, Robyn not only showed up to everything regarding this philosophy, the Friday Think and Grow Rich accountability calls, you were there, the activities that we hosted through NABWIC, because we also did an investment. We were doing an investment club. There were so many things. But what I love, Robyn, is that you have books upon composition books where you have walked through these principles over and over and over and over and over again. And I say that because the decision is subliminal. It's self-discipline. It's self-confidence. And it does not come overnight. And, we're approached by people and we interact with people who want it like this. Well, you get it like that, you lose it like that, because it's about who you are becoming. And Robyn, I tip my hat to you and many prayers to you and great, great, great success. But you must tell people how they can connect with you. And if you have any special programs or anything that you're doing special where people can support you and your vision for team exposure and your and the business.
Okay, so business, Robyn at Renew Construction Services. Please, you can, my website again is Renew Construction Services. As far as STEM exposure, we have an awesome global camp coming up the end of the month. It is virtual. We are taking 10 students from 10 countries to collaborate to design conceptual drawings for the affordable housing crisis here in Tampa. So we're asking for individuals in all countries, please go to the website and register for our global camp. Also, we have the Science of Beauty. Most of our girls feel they have to look a certain way or be a certain size to be successful in the beauty industry. So that camp is going to be held at the Glazier Museum. And its emphasis is on the STEM careers in the beauty industry. And last but not least, my baby, because I made a decision to do something about it and stop talking about it, Miss Ann, is called Construction X. And that is a NCCER certification of the trades. And I have Enterprise of Latinas. Ms. Ann was my first contract with them. And we're encouraging women to bring their talents to the construction industry while satisfying the need of prime contractors with their labor force. So you can reach me 813-990-7700. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social media outlets, and I'm just here to be in service. And Miss Ann, there was something I had wanted to close with. It was a quote, "If we're ready to close," by Barack Obama, that I think would be real timely for decisions, because again, keep it in mind, the decision to move forward or to procrastinate, both of those are decisions, right? So I'll end with the quote where Barack Obama, he said, "Change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek."
I love it. I love it. How about you read that one more time, because that's a decision. Can you read that one more time?
And I'm gonna say it to myself. Robyn, change will not come if you wait for another person or some other time. I am the one, we are the ones we believe, we are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. We have to make a decision. Yeah, we just have to make a decision.
Wow, no excuse, no excuse, no excuse, no excuse. Well, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. My name is Ann McNeil, and I am so excited, Robyn, and I've been so blessed by your sharing today. And I want to share with everybody, if you're looking to get greater clarity in your highest income producing areas of your business and your life, you can connect with me. I host a Clarity Mastermind once a month. You can go to my website at annmcneil.com and the information is there. But also, I love talking about how you can niche to be rich. And Robyn has been a client. And Robyn, we talk about the 6 keys that Napoleon Hill shares on how much money you want, because that's how you started determining. We didn't even talk about that today. We'll bring you back to talk about that another day. But he gives us 6 steps to riches. And I'll just talk about a couple. And if you want more, you can text me at 55678. Just go to your text on your phone and put in the number 55678. And in the chat, you can just type the word Ann, which is my name, ANN. But the first question he asked us, and I'll leave us with this: how much money do you want? Now, we can get the other 6 keys by texting me, but that is how Robyn started. She's shaking her head up and down because that's another podcast, because we can go from where you started, what was that number, and then what's the number now? Because again, when you figure the process, and it's not rocket science, it's a process. How much, doing what, by when? And Robyn shaking her head because she knows that's how all of this started. With what year was it, Robyn, we met? Gosh, 2000 and
I don't even remember.
15, 16.
No. It was before that. It was like 2013.
Wow.
I started my business in 14. But I'm shaking my head because every time I speak to my students, to my women, anyone who wants any counseling from me, the first thing they have to tell me: how much money do you need in order to live the life you want to live?
That's what I'm talking about. And where'd that come from?
The master builder.
Right. That's right. Listen, we can go on. The time is well spent. First of all, before I close this podcast, I would be remiss if then I did not thank all of you, our listeners, all of the people that are here, because Robyn shared on her social media and we've shared, and many of you are regulars here. But I think you also realize that I am soloing it today. So continue to pray for me before the podcast and after the podcast. But thank you, all of you. Please remember to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe. But until next time, Robyn, I thank you so very much for coming. You have been a blessing today, and you have set many people free today with your story. And I'd encourage all of you to go back and listen to the podcast again. My bloopers in the beginning, there are bloopers, and I just want to make sure you were paying attention. I cannot wait for my co-host to come back. I was out last week. Both of them are out today, but I told them, and Galen says this all the time. He said, every time I miss a podcast, it's always the best. And every time that I say I don't feel like it today, I press my way and it's one of the best. And so, Robyn, you have been a blessing today. We want to thank you for coming. And for everybody, we will see all of you next Saturday, same time, same place, for another phenomenal guest. And until then, please remember to subscribe and share with somebody else this phenomenal podcast. And until then, Robyn, thank you. You have been a joy today. All right, everybody, have a good one. We'll see all of you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.